Blue skies means fun days, helping skydivers with tips and techniques about safety, training and fun jumping from those who know. As parachute performance improved and ram air canopies were developed and refined, many of the terms we use to describe parachute performance have been found to be rather confusing and even misleading. As canopies become even higher performance aerodynamic constructions, are these confusing and misleading terms still acceptable? Hi and welcome to Blue Skies Fun Days. Julien Peelman is the head designer with JYRO, previously known as New Zealand Aerosports. At the last PIA conference, Julien ran a session discussing the confusing terms that we use to describe canopy design and performance. He started the session with a quiz to test the audience's understanding of these terms.
I've been thinking about it for a while, that maybe it was at the last release of a product we had that I was not really happy with the way we were describing our canopies, and I was quite convinced that we could do better than this, but at the time I didn't really have data to do better, so we kept using what the whole industry is using, like terms like semi-elliptical, fully elliptical, number of cells, soft openings, and this kind of description that are quite vague. But since then, we have worked quite a bit with FlySight, with the new GoPros that have sensors in it, with smartphones as well. And we have started to gather more and more data. And we realized that this was not only useful for test jumping and for us for innovating, but that this should be a tool to communicate to our customers and to general public what these canopies are doing, what they can do for them. So we start gathering data. I wish the PA was a bit later because I was not ready with everything. So some things I talked about was just ideas or beginning of things we're doing. We're still just beginning this process of trying to give a new frame. The quiz was more to engage people. I kind of knew what the answers will be. Definitely confirmed what I thought. We're using this frame of thoughts that we don't really understand ourselves. It's quite fun to put people in front of this. They use words, and then when you ask them to exactly define them, they're a bit lost. It's a good way to engage people and to make them reflect and convince them that we need to do better. I started with the semi-elliptical and fully elliptical because that's something that I was personally never sure how to use and never really understood the definition of them. So that was definitely my starting point. But then as I went further, reading description on websites of our website and other manufacturers, I found more and more things like a long recovery arc. What is a long recovery arc? And everybody claims that their openings are soft and consistent, but everybody's saying the same. So if I was a customer, I would not know what to trust, what to get. And there was one in particular where one parachute was described as having soft and consistent openings, and the new version was like improved openings. And so it makes you wonder, like, was that they were lying, or then it's getting better with time and our expectation of what a good opening is changing? I don't know. I don't have this answer. I think the general idea is to get out of labels and just words that are not descriptive enough, and to put a bit of numbers in it, maybe charts. For example, for soft opening, we can measure the deceleration with an accelerometer, and we can know if with this canopy you're going to experience something that feels like 2G or 3G or 4G. We can know that I don't know, some people are saying that they have hard openings, saying, please take this sensor, get an opening for me, and I can compare it. And maybe it's subjective, maybe it's just someone that is sensitive, or I don't know, maybe it's true. And as long as I don't see some numbers, it's a bit hard to know. So if we go back to the semi-elliptical and fully elliptical terms, there are ways to describe this. It's widely used in aeronautics since, I don't know, 100 years, since the first planes. And then the way to describe a wing, if you go on wing plan form on Wikipedia, all these terms exist, and we are the only one not using them. So a taper ratio is the ratio between the center, well, in our case, where we have symmetrical wings, the center and the tip. So how much smaller is the tip compared to the center? It can be 90%, 80%, 70%. So suddenly you can characterize and describe all the canopies and compare them instead of having two labels and two categories, and you're either one or the other. You can be in between. And same with the sweep. Instead of using things like the Schumann plan form, if we describe the position of the tip in comparison to the center of the canopy, we can then measure, compare, and understand better.
It's one thing for one company to change how they describe design and performance parameters, but do other manufacturers agree that there is a need for a change?
I don't know yet, actually. I still have to go talk to them. I've seen some in the audience, some manufacturers, and they look like they would agree to this idea. But I would like to go talk to them one-on-one. I think the first phase that we could each develop our own things. It doesn't have to be unified and regulated straight away, but at least if we all put a bit more science, a bit more numbers, and then once we all have our ideas, maybe we realize that, okay, this is the best way to talk about this, so we all adopt this. So I really believe it's going to be progressive, and it doesn't matter because the public also needs to learn and to adjust. So the idea is not to change everything and to confuse everyone. I know, for example, PD have some canopies that are similar in plan form with different trims, different line sets, and that they market as really different products. So it could maybe show that they're actually similar product with changes that are smaller than it appears. But I think they could easily adjust to this too. So I don't know. I'll talk to them and we'll figure it out. I think at least for some aspects it's quite easy. Making sure we have the same way to measure the size of a canopy. Everybody could agree to this, it's pretty easy. Then refining descriptions, I think we can all agree to it. Then when it comes to comparing glide ratio, for example, it's not a bad thing because nobody says, it's not like paragliding where if you have a better glide ratio, it's a better canopy. Here, nobody has said that having a smaller glide ratio is worse. Maybe some people prefer it. Actually, our most advanced parachute have a lower glide ratio than our student canopies. So it's not a race in these terms. So it doesn't matter too much what numbers, but at least someone who's looking for a glide ratio could find the right canopy.
As the discussions continue, are we likely to see changes in the way these descriptions are made? As performance improves, whatever that may mean, I certainly hope so. See you next time on Blue Skies Fun Days. Just a quick request to make sure that you've subscribed, rung the bell, and be sure to tell your friends about all that's available at Blue Skies Fun Days. For more tips and techniques, click subscribe.